Hi, my name's Daniel. Welcome to the Almagier.net vlog. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about Birmingham Sports Holdings investment in Cambodia, exactly what it is, how much money it makes, and why it might prove controversial down the pike for Birmingham City. In 2017, Birmingham Sports Holdings concluded a deal with a business called Grass City Real Estate Development Limited that saw BSH take a stake in an office and residential development in the Cambodian capital Phnom Penh in return for a 25%-ish stake in BSH. They then concluded a subsequent deal in 2018 for more flats and offices. So, question one, what exactly did BSH invest in? So I'm going to be honest, reading stock exchange announcements made by BSH requires a strong understanding of legalese along with a fair amount of patience. So it's not going to be much surprise if you or any other Blues fans don't actually know what BSH owns in Cambodia. Now, as far as I understand it, BSH bought a small portion of a complex called One Park in Phnom Penh, a bit of a commercial building along with some residential apartments. There's also some land purchased to build an international school as well as other ancillary educational developments, which were all due to be constructed by the end of August 2018. To pay for all of this, BSH didn't actually use money, which is probably wise because I doubt they had very much. Instead, what they did was they offered equity to Grass City. What that means is BSH said they were going to create a whole bunch of new shares, I think it was about 4 billion, and that they would exchange these for the various plots of land, leases and construction contracts that made up the deal. What that did in effect was make Grass City's owner the second largest shareholder in Birmingham Sports Holdings, and by extension, second largest shareholder in Blues too. Grass City's owner, officially, is a Chinese-born Cambodian by the name of Vong Pic, and I'll be honest, we don't know very much about him, other than he's got a Cambodian passport and is linked to a whole bunch of businesses in Cambodia. Now, the deal was good for BSH because he brought another income stream into the company, which makes it less reliant on Blues and more compliant for stock exchange purposes. However, One Park's development is controversial. Let's talk about why. Now, let's rewind the clock back to 2007. Back then, the land that One Park had been built on in Phnom Penh was actually a lake called Burn Kak. The governor of Phnom Penh, he signed a 99-year lease on the land the lake was on for what was seen as a throwaway price, $79 million, without consulting anybody. This came on the back of a huge switch in focus because originally the deal was meant to be 10% of the lake to be converted to land, which changed to 90%. Now, that lease was signed with a company called Shukaku, and it was murky. There's not very much information about who owned Shukaku back in those days, but documents from inside Cambodia now show that the chairman is listed as a person named Sopiat Chung. Now, Sopiat Chung and her husband, Senator Lau Meng Kim, they were described in US diplomatic cables leaked by WikiLeaks as a power couple within Cambodia, and both are linked to the Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, who runs the country as a single-party state with no free press. Now, thousands of people lived around the lake, as many as 20,000 residents. And as the lake was filled in, thousands of families found their homes flooded, naturally. They were offered what was realistically a token sum to leave the area, which was respite only coming in 2011, when a threat from the World Bank to cease lending to Cambodia caused the Prime Minister Hun Sen to carve out an area of the original site to say, okay, you can live there. That solved the problem for a few people, but many continued fighting the development after that. I'll put some links into the description with further reading for those of you who are interested in this subject. Grass City also had problems during the construction. In August 2017, there were protests as workers complained they'd not been paid in months. Grass City contracted the work out to a Beijing-based company called China State Construction Engineering Corporation, who subcontracted this to someone local, whose manager basically did a run-in with the money. BSH's section was due for completion in mid-2018 and is now taking rents, although the income currently received suggests occupancy is less than 20%. Now, if this investment is going to be profitable for the purposes of Birmingham City being spun out, it needs to be massively improved. The only good news is that the property prices on the site have risen, so there's been a paper profit there at least. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Why does this matter to Blues fans? Now, with Blues having just appointed Aitor Karanka as manager, I get the feeling everyone's happy, and that's great. It really is great. And I don't want to be Captain Chip Pisser in this situation. But there are things I think that need to be understood because they are important for the long-term future of the club. For one, I'd love to know if the EFL did any sort of owners and directors test on Von Pick. As 25% shareholder in Birmingham City, he qualifies as an owner, which means he must take the test. Any kind of minimal investigation into Von Pick will find the links between him and people such as Sokyap Chung and others who are related to the regime in Cambodia. Now, in a time when Newcastle United takeover seems to have fallen on the rocks because the Premier League aren't happy with dealing with a company who've got links to the Saudi state, which have a massive pirate broadcaster of Premier League football, B8Q, you'd think that the EFL might be a bit wary of dealing with a company that's got connections to a regime that is ranked 160 something out of 180 for freedom of press and lack of corruption. That's in the Transparency International Global Report 2019. Again, link in the comments. For me personally, I don't like it. I don't like the idea Blues are linked to a regime, publicly linked to a regime that is knowingly corrupt, that has potential for money laundering, that has potential to bring real issues to the parent company Birmingham Sports Holdings. And we've been burned on this when the Carson Young thing happened. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second people are going to get arrested or that the club is being used for money laundering. But what I am saying is that I don't want to be in a position where that might happen. And I think it's really important that regulatory bodies like the EFL take real note into who is investing in football clubs and parent companies of football clubs, because there are real life consequences to this. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want to subscribe, please do so for more content about Birmingham City and their owners and hopefully happier subjects. For now, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Keep right on.